Good morning and welcome to Peace Out, where we are all learning together to peace out. And I don't know about you, but I've had a lot of practice the last few days, right? So anyway, it just comes and goes, doesn't it? We just got to keep trusting God. And that's really what I'm going to talk about this morning. Actually, I was reading in First Peter. Am I in First Peter? Yes. And Peter said this: these trials, he's talking to new believers who have basically the church has just been born, right? The church is real young. Peter's not quite as young. He walked with Jesus. He was on the day of Pentecost. He saw all the things Jesus did. He saw all the miracles. He saw uh, all of the miracles. And then he thought Jesus, like the other disciples, he thought Jesus was going to set up a physical kingdom. And then he was disappointed when he saw Jesus crucified. He thought, everything he had invested his life in was gone, because he walked away from his job. He walked away from fishing, right? And he went and followed Jesus. And then he thought Jesus was going to set up a natural kingdom and reign on the throne forever. And that didn't make sense. But, the picture when Jesus was crucified, the picture of Jesus reigning forever was gone out of their minds because their imaginations had built the wrong picture, right? Jesus didn't lie. Jesus was going to reign forever. It just didn't happen the way they thought it was going to happen, right? And so they were disappointed. And Peter worked through all that. And then Jesus comes back to life, and he's like, oh, now it all makes sense. And now he's writing to the believers who are being scattered and being persecuted because they believed in Jesus. And he's saying this: these trials are only to test your faith. Well, that doesn't sound like much fun. So, right? It doesn't sound fun to have your faith tested. It doesn't sound like fun to have to keep trusting God every single day. It doesn't sound like fun to have to keep coming back to that peace and believing beyond a shadow of a doubt that he gave us peace. We just have to let it rain. Doesn't sound like a lot of fun, but it's really effective and it really works. And Peter says there's great benefit in that. This dude, the dude that knows what he's talking about when he's saying your faith is being tested, right? He says, these things are only to test your faith, to show that it is strong and pure. That's interesting to me. It's not just strong, but pure. And even though Peter messed up, of all the disciples, he probably, other than Judas, of course, he messed up most because he said, oh, I'm going to go with you to death. He cut the guy's ear off in the garden trying to defend Jesus. And Jesus just put the ear back on and says, come on, it's time for me to die, basically. And Peter's like, I'm not going to ever deny you. And then Jesus goes, you're going to deny me 3 times before morning. And Peter's like, oh, no, not me. So he had this confidence in something that he wasn't even capable of doing. He knew what it was like to be wishy-washy. He knew what it was like to fail Jesus. But he could see Jesus standing right there, right? Jesus' physical body right there. And Jesus turned and looked at him and said he went out and wept bitterly. He realized he had just denied his faith. Now, this is that same Peter writing to the church saying, these trials are only to test your faith. No biggie. No biggie on this side of it. We mastered it. I won. I still have my faith. But it took some rough times to get him to that place, right? Then he says it shows that it is strong and pure. It is being tested as fire tests and purifies gold, and your faith is more precious to God than gold. Isn't that interesting? Because here's where I went from there. I started thinking about all the things that Peter went through to get to that spot. See, sometimes we see someone and they're walking in victory, but we don't see all the things they went through to get there. We don't see that process. We see someone who's rich, but we don't see the process of how they got there. I won't ever get it. But we don't always see that process. So I started thinking, and I was like, well, now he's the one who jumped out the boat, right? And walked on the water. So I started thinking back. So I looked at these 2 accounts again of Jesus calming the storm. Yeah, still peace out, right? I looked at the one in Matthew 14, and that's one where Jesus came walking to them on the water. And Peter said, if it's you, tell me to come. And Jesus goes, well, come on then. And Peter jumps out of the boat. He walks across the water with the other 11 sitting in the boat doing nothing. I'd have jumped out there with him, I think. I don't know, maybe I'd have crawled down in the boat. We don't know till we're really in that storm, right? And so then he fell, and because he took his eyes off of Jesus. He looked at the storm. How many times have I done that? How many times have I looked away from what the Word says or what Jesus has said or what I know God said to me, and I looked at the storm and I started sinking. It happens all the time, right? But that Peter that sank at least got out of the boat. Everybody else stayed in the boat, right? Then, so I was thinking about that storm, but then I thought, but Jesus calmed the storm twice. So in Mark 4, it says he told the disciples, get in the boat, let's go to the other side. He went down to in the bottom of the boat, went to sleep, and a storm came. This is two very different stories of a boat with the disciples in a storm. First, when Jesus comes walking to them. This time, the storm comes in. Jesus is sleeping in the bottom of the boat. Now, that's peace. I'd have been up throwing up, chucking like, right? But that's peace. That's a picture of peace. He's sleeping in the bottom of the boat, in the back of the boat, it says. And they woke him up and they said, we're going to die. Teacher, don't you even care that we're going to drown? That's the New Living. Don't you even care? How many, I'm just going to be honest and transparent here. I usually am. Y'all should be used to that by now. Sometimes I've said that. God, do you not even care? Do you see my life, and do you not even care that I'm drowning in my circumstances? I'm drowning in this pressure. I'm drowning, but I'm trying to reach for you. But some days, God, I don't even have strength to reach for you. Do you not even see that? What did Jesus say? He didn't say, yeah, you're going to, I don't know. Are y'all drowning? Are you scared? Something going on? No. He just got up and said, and now this is the New Living. I like this. It says, when they woke him up, he rebuked the wind and said to the water, quiet down. Just like a daddy or a mama, right? Quiet down. And suddenly, the wind stopped. I can also tell you this. In those times where I've cried out and said, God, don't you even see I'm drowning in my circumstances? That God goes, yeah, I do. And that peace came. I ain't died in none of them yet, right? And even though life can be overwhelming, that peace is still there. Jesus didn't even address that, except that he turned around and said this, why are you so afraid? Do you still not have faith in me? Now, Peter was in both of these boats. Peter was in the first boat, and I'm going to guess that this storm was after the first one. And look, that's just a guess. It is a total off-the-wall guess that this was the second storm, because that's why Jesus said, don't you have faith in me? They saw him calm the others. Either way, no matter which boat was first, which boat was second, which storm came first, or which storm came second, by the second one, why were they so afraid? Oh, I have no room to condemn. I do the same thing, probably every single day, almost, at least, definitely every week, right? God got me through the last circumstance. He carried me through the last ordeal. He carried me through the last trial. He brought me out through faith and peace and into joy and to trusting him. And it's the last trial's gone. And then the next one comes, and I'm just as scared as the disciples in the second storm. Don't you see I'm going to drown? Jesus is like, I didn't go anywhere. I'm still here. Why are you scared? I'm still here. I didn't leave you. I didn't say, I'm not going with you in this storm. He didn't say, okay, I'm not going to take this trial on because I already did 3. And that's my limit for the day. So I don't know. Just go figure it out. No, Jesus just said, he just asked him to have faith in him. Just have faith in me, he says. This is 2 different storms with 2 different responses. And yet, from Jesus, except both of them, he calmed the storm. Both of them, the disciples, were scared. And he's like, don't you have faith? He says, why are you afraid? Why are you peaceless? Why are you scared? Do you still not have faith in me? And I'm going to guess this is the second storm because they already saw him calm the first one. And now he's going, are you not getting it? That no matter what life throws at you, I've got you. No matter what. It didn't prevent a second storm from happening. 2 different storms. He didn't calm one storm and then there was never a storm on the sea again. No, there was still more storms. There was probably even more storms than what we have than these two, right? And on other seas, and on that sea too, there's going to be more storms. But we can still have him in our boat, and he's going to bring peace with him because he's the Prince of Peace. It's to test our faith. And so Peter, on the other side of this storm, now he's writing in 1 Peter. It's all to test your faith. But when you come through there, your faith is more precious than gold. Trusting God is more precious than gold. Trusting God is more valuable than anything we're going to see on this side of heaven, right? Because we're just going to keep trusting God. We're just going to keep, no matter what kind of storm comes, Jesus is still in the boat, and he's going to calm the storm again. He's going to take care of us, and he's going to be in our boats with us for every single storm. Doesn't mean there will never be another storm. It just means that when the next one comes, he's still going to be right there. And that's why I can peace out, because he's in the storm with me. He's in the storm with you, so we can all peace out. Peace out. Have a great day. See you guys again tomorrow.